Now, since we have a very short one class here, I'm going to only talk about one of these templates just to give you a taste of what this class is about. And this template is subtraction. Okay? Now, subtraction is going over all of these components and see what's going to happen if I'm going to get rid of it. Now, the problem that we typically deal with in this class is coming up with a new product. But in reality, we can think of any type of problem you can think of. Maybe a problem of making your life better, of making some process better, and so on. Let me show you an example of subtraction. And again, in this class, we typically start with an existing product, and we ask ourselves, what can we do to make this product better? Okay? So the product I want to start with is this, okay? And that's, we are now in the early 2000s. There are all these new music players, MP3 players. Was a revolution at the time. You can store easily music digitally. We have here the iPod. We have the Zune of Microsoft. We have the Arcos. What are the components of these MP3 players? Can anyone see what would be components of these products? Yeah? Unmute yourself and say a component. Courtney.
Yeah, the little dial thing that can help you navigate from songs to playlists.
Right.
I forget what that's called.
Right, so the dial, we can think of maybe the headphones, we can think of the buttons, right? We can think of the screen, and so on. So all of these are components. Now, based on the subtraction template, what we need to do is choose one of these components and get rid of them. Okay, and what I ask you is, do not shy away from removing a very central component. The battery, for example, would be another one, and so on. Okay, what will happen if we get rid of the battery? Can we get anything? Well, maybe we can use, I don't know, solar energy, and have something that works maybe when you bathe, when you sunbathe, and so on. But what happened in this market in the early 2000s was quite a remarkable subtraction. What, until this moment, was the most essential and critical component of these music players was the screen. Okay? Why? Because companies wanted to get more control, get maybe an option to create playlists. That was the frontier of that. Everybody wanted to make the screen better, more sophisticated, and so on. And then comes the company and asks the question, what happens if we get rid of the screen? What's going to happen, guys? What will happen if I get rid of the screen here? What will be the benefit?
It'll be cheaper.
It will be cheaper. Any other benefits?
Lighter.
Lighter. Great. Okay, I'm going to get something that looks like that. Okay, by just getting rid of the screen. Okay, and that's, my friend, is subtraction. We get rid of a component. We ask ourselves, what will be the benefit? Well, before the benefit, we're going to ask ourselves if it's even new. Maybe it's already something that exists. We're going to then ask ourselves what will be the benefit. Is it feasible? Will be the third question. And then if my answer to all of these are yes, 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 I have an idea. And I reduced this very, very ill-defined problem of, hey, come up with something new, to a very well-defined question that I can now use traditional market research to study. And that's, on a nutshell, the systematic approach to innovation. Here's another example, and again, these products were not created using the subtraction template. But these products are all examples of a product that existed before and went through radical subtraction. What was the original product? Can anyone see that? I think we all lived long enough to know that. These products are an existing product with subtraction. Facebook, that's correct. Okay? What did we gain by getting rid of so many things? So Instagram is basically only images. Twitter is only status updates. And even the status updates were reduced, just like Dr. Seuss writing. It was reduced to the use of only 160 characters. Snapchat, again, only private messages, and only these messages are going to even not recorded. Okay, there is another diminishing. What we gain is multiple benefits from all of them, but overall, we get focus. Okay, we get focus here on one thing, and that's actually is worth a lot in this world. There are other examples of this. I don't know if you know this. My students have been using this app. No longer, I guess. It was trendy for a while. This is Be Real. So Facebook was reduced to Instagram, which was then reduced to Be Real. In Be Real, there is only one specific time of the day when you get a notification, and you need to post at that exact time. No filters, so lots of things were reduced. What do we gain here? Focus, authenticity, and coordination, all by taking out stuff. And this is actually going very well with the idea in art that a piece is finished not when you cannot add anything, but when you cannot remove anything any longer. Here's another example, again, the story of focus. So this is a dating app that only works on Thursday. Again, giving focus that allows coordination. I would say a large part of the success of Wordle was that there is only one word every day. So we do get from taking things out. Now this is not, the idea of taking things out and making the product more focused is not a new one. That's a story from Israel from 1995. Israel is the country now with the highest rate of cell phones per people. I think way more cell phones than people. And one of the biggest success stories of an early mover on this market was the story of Motorola. Motorola had a phone that removed the most essential component in the phone, which is the capacity to make outgoing calls. Okay, so you could go and get this phone, which ironically does not do the thing that you buy the phone for. No outgoing calls. What was the benefit? What do we get from taking a phone with no capacity to call? Who would want to buy this product?
Parents.
Parents, okay? That was my first phone, my Mango. Okay, so parents, not only parents, also you can think of people who have workers, contractors. They want to communicate with the workers, and they don't want the workers to be able to just call whoever they want. Okay, so there are a lot of benefits to a product like this, and of course it is cheaper. And then the kids who were using this phone later on became customers and also ended up paying. This is how we use subtraction, and the first step is something we already went through in this class. We list the internal and external components of the product or service. Note that there is distinguishment here between components that are internal, which are components of the product itself, and components that are external, which are not of the product itself, but are in the environment of it. So one thing to think of external is the 9-dot problem. The pen is an external component. It is something that comes from the environment. Or if we think of the iPod, we can think of the user as an external component. Once we do that, we're going to select one component and imagine what's going to happen if we remove it. Okay? And there are three ways of doing it. One is completely removing it entirely and imagining what will happen. And that's an example of, for instance, in the iPod Nano, we took out the screen completely. Another option is what's called partial subtraction, and that's taking one of the feature or functions of the component away or diminish it in some way. Okay? An example of this will be Snapchat. You can still message, but one aspect of it, which is the recording of the message, the logging of it, has been diminished. The third one, which I find the most interesting, is called replacement. Consider replacing the function of the removed component using a component from the product's environment. And I'm going to show you examples of that. So many times, we can take something out, but of course, we're going to lose something. If we don't want to lose this thing that we lost, we should maybe look around us in the closed environment of the product and think for a component from this environment that may be able to replace it. I'm going to show you an example. The reminder of this template is the same as in all templates. Once we have a new product, a new solution, we want to visualize what it will look like. We're going to ask ourselves if it's even new. If it's not new, not interesting. We're going to ask ourselves, what are the benefits? If there are no benefits, not interesting. And we're going to ask ourselves if it's feasible. If the answer to these three questions is yes, 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 we can do more market research and try to see if this idea is worth pursuing. Let's do an exercise here. And I want to start with an Uber ride. What would be components of an Uber ride if Uber ride is our products? Okay, nice. Car, driver, drivers, okay. More? Cost, passenger, fuel, app, excellent. All of these are true. Let's start with these four. Okay, driver, passenger, transaction, car. Now let's go and apply the subtraction template. Driver. What would happen if I take Uber now and take out the driver? What would that be? Anyone wants to either just say it or write it up? What is Uber with no driver? Okay, it's maybe a car share. Maybe it's an automatic car driver, like just an autonomous car taking me. Okay, this is not new, so I'm going to move on to the next. Okay, Uber without passenger. What is that? What is an Uber without a passenger?
Delivery.
Okay, could be delivery. Okay, also not that interesting, already exists. Uber without transaction. Again, I mean, that's just hitchhiking, basically. And it's not interesting. What about Uber without a car? What is Uber without a car? Okay, I would argue that that's a walking body. Okay? And that's creative. Even if you know, maybe nobody's going to buy this product, I think we got maybe a funny joke out of it. And that's basically the subtraction template. Okay? We take the product, we break it into components, and then go one by one and see what happens if we get rid of these components.